Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're talking all about Notion and I'm gonna be doing my Notion tour. If you'd asked me a year ago, I honestly would never have thought that I would become a Notion girly. The reason I never wanted to use it is because it felt very intimidating. And if you don't know what Notion is essentially a productivity tool that has a combination of a lot of different things. Like you can take notes, you can have a Kanban board, which is kind of like Trello. It also just has like calendar features and a bunch of different systems that you can create. So it's very customizable, which I think is why a lot of people really like it. But at the same time, I was very intimidated because of how much stuff is on there. So just keep in mind, this is very much a beginner friendly setup. I don't want this to become overdone with information. When I see too much stuff, it makes me anxious. I wanted my Notion to be a calm and peaceful place that I could actually use and feel excited about using. So I want to share my setup with you guys. I'm gonna include my template. I'll just have as empty pages so you can like explore and try to use it yourself. I found a lot of videos that were really helpful as well, so I just want to say that I'm not taking credit for the types of pages or anything, but let me know if you guys would want an actual walkthrough of how to create a Notion page, because I did make this myself using inspiration that I'd seen, and I'd be happy to walk through that in another video. Let's get started. I'm gonna pull it up on my laptop. So we're in my home page. That's what I call it. People call it like their hubs or their dashboards. I just prefer to call it my homepage. I also want to say that this is like about 95% complete. So there's going to be a few pages that don't look that fleshed out because I've just started to fill it out. But I'd love to keep you guys updated on the next version of this, but I'm happy with it, okay? So I just want to mention a couple of things on Notion. There's a few different things that you can change of how you view the page, and that's at the very top right corner. You can change the style of your text between default, serif, or mono. I prefer the default one. You can also change it between small text. I prefer to have it small. You can also change how large the margins are on the page. I personally like to use the full width, but if you don't like that, you can also use it to have margins, which I think doesn't look that good. So if you end up using my template, just know that it's better for full width pages. So on the side, there's all these sub pages. Basically anything that I've created, you can see it's like a menu. I typically don't use this to browse my Notion. I have a cover photo. It's honestly really simple. I just want to feel at peace when I open my Notion. Like it's not a bunch of stuff happening. I really don't have a lot of photos or widgets. So starting from the top, I just have this quote: I'm on my way to the best version of myself. I just like to remind myself, as long as I'm doing something to try to better myself, then I'm on my way to becoming the best version of myself. So that's the quote that I like. Starting from the left side, this is my master to-do list. It's actually a toggle list, which lets you hide things if you don't want it to always be shown. I just have like big items that I really want to work on. So things like I have a few trips that I really want to plan out. A trip to Vancouver. Also, we have a trip to Turkey and Greece that I haven't told you guys about yet, but we're planning that. You'll see that later in my travel page. I also have an archive. I have a couple of these. It basically just lets you drop things in here. Once I'm done with a to-do list item, I just drop it in here. Like it says finish Notion prep, which I did. If I wrote another thing like grocery shopping and then I finished it, I can just drag that into here and then it goes away. I really like to have archives just as like a little recycling bin or something. This is my second toggle and it has my ideal routines. I like to keep this here because I realize that every day looks different for me and I can't always promise that I'm gonna do everything in my little morning routine, but I like to have this so I can at least remind myself the things that I'd like to aim to do. You can see like things that I don't always do every day. I don't always wake up at 7. I'm not a morning person, but I would like to aspire to be. My work routine, I mean, this is not something I can typically follow, but in an ideal world, me thing, I had this in my morning routine as well. It's just like a reminder if I could just take like 10 minutes to do a small thing, whether that's listen to a podcast that I like or watch a YouTube video, whatever it is. And then my evening routine, again, these are just ideal situations. Things don't always go that way. Okay, so those are my routines. And then in the middle, I have just a quote. It's just like an image: work hard, dream big. Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. I also have this widget, which is from Indify. So Indify has different widgets that you can create for yourself. It can be customized. So I live in Toronto, so this is what the weather forecast is showing. Moving below that, I have my weekly overview sections. This is probably like my favorite thing about my Notion. I just recently changed it so that it actually has a toggle because sometimes it gets a bit overwhelming to see this every single time that I open my Notion. Sometimes I just want to close it so I can hit the little arrow. It just has all of the days of the week, mapped out so I can see exactly what I want to do on which day. It'll be like a mini to-do list for that day. For example, some of these aren't really like action items, but I'll just have reminders like if it was an office day, I didn't actually go to the office, so I can take that off. Creator night, I actually didn't end up going to that, so that didn't happen. I also have YouTube stuff. I haven't done that yet. And if I want to move it around, I can also change the day as well and just drag stuff, which I really like. Once I'm finished with a week, I actually have an archive as well. So it's the same system as the to-do list archive. I can just take this whole section and drag it into here, and then it's gone. If I want to create a new one, I have a button, and this basically creates the same thing, and it's empty, so I can just fill it out from scratch. I love the button feature on Notion. It took me a while to figure out how to use it, but once I did, it's been super helpful. They call it blocks. You could populate the same blocks onto your Notion, and you don't have to redo it every time. It's a lot simpler once you get the hang of it. That's basically how I use this weekly overview section. Below it, I have these little hubs of things. I really like having these little hubs because before I would have a bunch of different random notes and then I'd end up losing track of it. I just never look back at the things that I wrote down. That's why I have these little pages, which we'll get into in a second, but I have them listed in different buckets. The key things for me is content, fun stuff, kind of personal, and then goals and reflections. So we'll go into each of the 4 little hubs. First is my YouTube page. This is basically my calendar slash video list slash brainstorming page. There's 3 different views of this. The first is just a list, and all of my video ideas and also YouTube shorts ideas are listed here. I actually prefer this view, which is my board. Basically, I have it organized based off of the stage that the video is in. I have ideas planned. That's my dog, by the way. Editing, ready to upload, and parking lot. And then within each of these, I have just like a template that I use. This one, I actually didn't fill anything into it, but I just have templates of the type of video, like title ideas, thumbnail ideas, keywords, tag, notes, and stuff like that. And I really found this helpful because, like I said, making notes just like everywhere on my phone, and then I would never be able to find it again. So to have this for each video is super helpful. I can change the status of where it's at, as well as the target date that I want to film and upload. I typically focus on the date that I want to upload because it goes into the next view that I'll show you. This is just like a nice view of everything that I'm wanting to upload or wanting to film and where it's at, what I need to edit, stuff like that. Parking lot is basically things that I thought I wanted to do and I'm not really sure about, so I might not even do it, but I just want to have somewhere to keep the idea. Basically, this little film thing or director thing, I don't even know what this is called, the movie board thing, that's for videos, and then the sparkles are YouTube shorts. And then this is my posting calendar. My target upload days are on Sundays. Throughout the week, I try to do YouTube shorts. I actually did this today instead. Today's Friday. I can just like move things around in this view, which I think is really helpful. This is all that I put on my YouTube page, and I really needed this, especially when I decided that I wanted to be a bit more consistent with YouTube. Next is my Instagram. I honestly haven't used my Instagram that much. My Instagram is the same handle as my YouTube, Celine Like Dion. So if you want to follow me, go and follow me. I am trying to post more consistently. I just haven't been using my Notion to really schedule things like I want to. It's basically the same concept as the other page. I have my content list, my board, and then my calendar. This is back in April. I honestly haven't updated it since then, but we will be using this in the near future. Moving on, this is my next page. I'm actually not gonna open it, but this is a podcast page. Your girl is actually thinking about starting a podcast. No, we're not thinking about it. I am gonna do a podcast. It's just a matter of when. So I've been putting a lot of ideas and planning into that page. And then I also have opportunities. This is where I've actually kept all of my brands that I'm engaging with or want to engage with. So I'm not gonna go into this one. The next is my growth tracker. This is for my social media growth. We're not at the end of the month yet, so I will be updating this at the end of the month, but I wanted to show you like where I'm at so far. Several people have similar things in their Notions that are like creators and stuff like that, but the main purpose is just to see month over month how I'm progressing. I think numbers are really easy to get caught up in, but I also want to see, you know, just like any trends and stuff like that. I only started this in April, so I don't have a goal for April, but I do have the actual number of subscribers that I ended up with. But after April, I'll basically just check how many subscribers I've gained and compare that to my goal. My goal for May was to reach 9,105. Bruh. Oh my god, I can't math. My goal was to reach 9,150. subscribers, and I haven't reached that yet. That's okay. You really can't put too much pressure on these types of things, but I gained so far 147 subscribers. I just put my revenue so far. I think I'll probably make a few more dollars by the end of the month. I'm still so grateful. I've said before, every dollar, every penny is exciting and something that I celebrate. Instagram, I'm gonna be honest, my Instagram keeps dropping in followers, so it's like doing the opposite for me right now, but that's okay. I'm just like keeping track of it. That's basically that. Next, my brain dump. I'm not gonna open this either, but my brain dump is essentially just all my thoughts and random things. Next, we're gonna move into my personal planning hub. First is my habit tracker. If you guys have seen my digital planner video, I used to really do a lot of digital planning. I still do sometimes, but to be honest, I just feel like Notion has covered off a lot of the things that I really need. I mostly have used Notion the same ways that I used to use my digital planner. The point is that I used to say my habit tracker was my favorite thing in my digital planner, and I'm super excited because Notion has similar capabilities with a habit tracker, and you can customize it every month. You can track every day, and I am a firm believer in making habits daily, but this is not a good representation of that. I have not been on my game this past month. Some of the days I think I haven't tracked yet. Basically, this allows me to keep track of little things that I want to achieve every day. For me, I had 8,000 steps because I feel like that's the most attainable for me right now. I also want to try to get 7 hours of sleep. That does not always happen either. And Duolingo is what I'd use. I don't have Chinese skills, but that's what Duolingo is for. No spend is another habit of mine that I'm trying to just manage my spending. You can also see it in a table which has these little meters of how much you completed each day. Once the month is over, I can actually just drag this into my archive as well. So everything goes away, and then I can create a new month. I can start from scratch, and I can add whatever types of habits I want for the next month. I really like this page. I just wish I would use it a bit more. The next page is my travel plans. This is actually something that I was working on last night because, like I said at the beginning, we are going to be going to Turkey. Nothing's booked, but I'm just speaking it into existence. That's why I really wanted to have this page set up a bit better. I haven't used it to its full capabilities yet. I think there's a lot of really cool things that I can do with this. First is my packing list. I have a template here that I'm basically going to use for every location. I always make a packing list and I always have it in my notes, but it's honestly so hard to like keep track of sometimes. This is just a standard template and I can update it for every time that I go away. I have different categories of clothes and items that I typically need. I'll just duplicate this for any trips that I go on. And then this is just an archive. I had a packing list for Mexico and Vancouver. I just dragged it into there. Underneath that, I have my itineraries. So these are my trips that have been planned or are completed from 2023. I just have the destination. I also have the date. Some of them are just target dates that I'm hoping to go on the trips. And then status is basically to say if I'm planning it, if it's a parking lot, so something that we put in the parking lot for now and aren't planning actively, and then complete our trips that I obviously completed. I also have a budget here. This I think is just good for me to have visibility on because sometimes we get carried away about where we want to go, what we want to do, and how much money we end up spending. I also have my board. It's just the same things as the previous page, but it has each of the buckets as its own column. What I was working on last night that I think is so cute, I've created this template. I just have an image here of Turkey and it has all the types of things that I typically want to use for travel and planning for travel. I feel like I could do a whole deep dive into this. I think that was a video idea on my previous page about like planning and budgeting for vacations. This is just for me to have all the types of things like references, to-do lists, documents, things like that at the top. I'm definitely a research type of person for trips, and I can include things like the flights that I'm researching and they're just toggle lists. I have accommodation ideas, and then I'll have things to do listed as well. So I really love this page. I am excited to use it a bit more. Below it, I have my itinerary. So I just have like days. I also have different columns for the location, the activities, the cost of the day. So let's just say, for example, it's $100. I have this board, basically pulls all the information from the previous page, and it also has a calendar. So I haven't used this fully yet, like I said, but I will be because we're planning for trips. Next, I have just a calendar view. This is all of the dates that are above in this table. It just populates into this section so I can see the upcoming vacations that I have planned for. The next page is is budgeting. This is actually something I don't really use a lot on Notion because I finally bought an Excel sheet off of Etsy that I really like. That's what I've linked here. It just has the link to the Google Doc that I use. We're not going to talk about that in this video. I have a quote here as well. If you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it. I'm pretty sure Jay-Z said that. Definitely need to remind myself that a lot of days. I also have this savings tracker. These are my overall targets for the year. Some of these numbers I kind of just plugged in here. Not all these numbers are real. I have a few buckets like my TFSA and my RRSP. Those are Canadian terms, so I don't really know the same term in the States or other countries, but those are savings accounts that I have that I want to contribute to. I also have a travel budget and then a home budget. Once you update it with the amount, it'll show you the progress. It has a percentage of the progress you've made. And then I have when I last updated this. Next page is my annual calendar. To be honest, I don't really plan to use this much. I feel like I mostly use my calendar on my phone, which is synced to my iCloud, but I just created this anyways in case I wanted to add more details to this. It's just a bit harder to get onto your Notion sometimes than it is to get onto your phone's calendar, so I typically prefer to use that for the most part. Next, I just want to point out this picture because I didn't say anything about it yet. I think it really covers off how I feel about most things. It's easy to feel like just caught up in things, and you can either look at it as if nothing matters and you're upset about it and you feel like down, or you can look at it as nothing matters, so why bother getting pressed about anything? That's why that picture is there. Also, the sun is setting. I have a light in front of me, but that's why the lighting keeps changing. That's what happens when you film at night. I'm gonna move on to some fun stuff, as I like to call it. It's not really fun stuff, but I just had no other name for this bucket. The first is movement. This is gonna become the page that I use to track my workouts. I only created this a couple days ago and I haven't used it very much, but what I'd like to do is just have the type of workout that I did and then the day. I did 12-3-30, which is cardio. I also have a ranking system so I can put how many stars out of 5. Also just a little note section that says, how did I feel? I also have it as a table view, but I think the calendar is probably a bit more helpful. Also, all of my pages have cover photos. I typically use the Unsplash images because they're just so easy, but I know a lot of people use specific photos and people like to make vision boards and stuff. I haven't made any specific images for this. Okay, back to my hubs. Next is recipe ideas. I don't know if it's the right name for this, but I really like this page and I think it's one of the cutest pages I have because I love food. Who doesn't love food? So I wanted to make this page a representation of how much I love food. At the bottom, I have a list of a bunch of recipes that we typically have made already and things that we know how to make. I also have the meal type, so dinner, breakfast, snacks even, just so I have it as a reference when we go grocery shopping. And then difficulty out of 3 stars. And then obviously the protein as well. If I actually click into it, I also have a list for ingredients. I just have ingredients versus recipes because these are based off of recipes that we already know and love, so that's why I don't have a full in-depth recipe here. On the next page is a board view. I like this because it's organized by the type of protein, and what I actually do from here, if you see there's like a little check mark, I'll check off which meals that I want to have or I want us to plan for the week. If I want to add something to this list, I can just check it off and then it'll show up at the top, and then it says the meal type as well. When I'm in the grocery store and I have my Notion on my phone, I can at least see like, oh, I want to get some eggs and oatmeal and rice cakes and stuff like that. This becomes kind of like my shopping list. I think some people have it very, very detailed. Personally, I think simple is fine and simple works for me. This populates from the table below it, which is really cool. I'm really proud of setting this up, to be honest. I think it's a super cute page. And then I just have a little gif of this dim sum that changes. I think it's so cute. The next is my watch list. This is not super detailed or anything. I'm pretty sure anyone can relate when you want to watch something and you don't know what to watch. So anytime that I see something that I want to watch, I'm just going to add it to this page, and then then when we're looking for something, we can come back here. Once I've watched something, it obviously says done, and then I can put my rating for it. And it also has the genre. It has the type as well. Like some of these are shows. Succession, top 5 shows for me, 5 out of 5 stars. If you watch Succession, let me know. What a show. I have a board as well, but I think I much prefer the table view. Last page on my fun stuff is reading list. As the name suggests, books and things that I need to read or want to read. I am really trying to become a reader, but I just don't prioritize it over other types of things. As you can see, there's several books that I listed, and most of these I've started and I didn't end up finishing. I have the status as well as the genre as the tag, and then I just have my ratings. I haven't finished any of these books, so I might change the ratings, but I just wanted to show you guys how I plan to use this page. And then I just have a board as well, but it's very similar to my watch list. The last little hub is my goals and reflections. I only have 2 things here. I'm the type of person that won't enjoy something if it feels like a chore. So if I had too many reflections or too many things that I need to fill out, I won't really use it. So this is my monthly goals page. It's very minimal. These are my goals for May. I feel like I'm gonna do a June reset. Let me know if you want to see that, and I'll be able to actually reflect on how I achieved, or if I did achieve, each of these goals. When I want to add a new month, I basically just press this and it creates the same thing. So I can insert the month and then the goals for that month, and then when I'm done with it, I can also move it into my archive, same as my other pages. I think that really helps keep things clean and organized. The last page in my hub is my 2023 annual goals. This I feel I have made as nice as I could make it without overdoing it. It is pretty simple, I think. So I feel like I talked about most of my 2023 goals in my 2023 reset video at the beginning of the year, but these are my goals for 2023. In the middle, I added a widget from Indify as well. This I customized to say make it count, and this is actually how many days and weeks are left in the year, which is low-key kind of crazy. There's only 31 weeks left, just to remind myself that, you know, time is passing and to make it count. And then at the very end, I have just a picture that says grateful and thankful. I have a section for quarterly reflections. I feel like quarterly reflections are more realistic for me than doing it monthly. Each of these I haven't used yet, but I will be. But I think it's so cute. This is the page I'm going to use to basically fill out each quarter, which is 3 months. I just feel like I didn't really want to do this every month. At the top, I have places to put images that will basically just be like some of my favorite moments that I can look back on. I only have 4 questions for reflections: what I was grateful for, what I was proud of, what I wish I did more of, and lastly, what I wish I did less of. And I'm excited to fill this out. And then I have the exact same pages for the other 3 quarters as well. That's it for my pages in each of these little sections. At the bottom, I just have an overview of my calendars. Let me know if you guys know a way to do this, but I wish there was a way that you can just merge all of your calendars on Notion to show it in one calendar. It seems like there's no way to make it all into one unless all of the data is in one page, but that defeats the purpose of what I'm trying to do. So instead, I just have them as different tabs. At least it's on my homepage, so if I'm scrolling when I'm on my phone or something, I can just go down to the bottom and I have my monthly overview, YouTube and Instagram and travel pages, so that it's all in one accessible place. Alright you guys, so that is my Notion. It is now dark outside, so this little light is like trying to keep things afloat, but it's not looking so good. But we're at the end of the tour. Let me know if you guys would like to see more videos like this. I will have my template in the description. I'll also link resources of other pages that I liked. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you have any questions, I am not an expert on Notion, but I'd be happy to try to help anyways, so let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. It really helps support my channel, and to check out other videos on the screen, and I'll see you guys next time.